everyone, my name is Sarah. Like Bruce said, I graduated from Pace. I have my own company, and my company was really built on online advertising. I mean, that's search engine marketing is really the only type of advertising that we did for a long time. So it's something I lived and breathed and still do for the first probably 2 years of my company. And just to give you a little bit more color, we started the business 3 years ago with $25,000 and just an idea that shopping for furniture online should be easy, and that there's an opportunity there because all the other big companies that were in the space were really not focused on the online channel. For them, online was just a small part of their huge business, and for us it would be our only business. So some friends in the furniture business, me, a corporate lawyer, and a banker said, okay, we know how to do online, we're going to try it. We're going to put $25,000. And so we hired a firm to build a website, and 2 months later, the $25,000 was gone. So we had this website with tons of products and no money. And we needed to advertise, but we didn't really have anything to advertise. So I took the last $1,000 from my checking account, and I said, okay, I'm going to try Google AdWords. And what Google does, if you're a new advertiser, for $50 or $75, you could get free advertising credit. So you give them your credit card information, they give you a free $75, and you try online advertising for the first time. And that's what I did. I was a portfolio manager at Deutsche Bank. I was sitting there with my 4 screens, and I had 3 screens full of furniture, 1 screen with Google AdWords, trying to build a company. And from this $1,000 in advertising, the company grew to $12 million in revenue in the last 2 years. So how does that happen? Right, it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you learn something new. And that's what this is really about. This isn't about if you had $1 million to spend on advertising, how would you do it? Or if you had $1,000 to spend on advertising, how did you do it? This is like if you have $20 and you want to experiment with Google AdWords, this is what I would do. And that's what we started with, $20 a day. This presentation, it's going to be really simple. We're just going to cover some of the basics. But the basics are meant to kind of get you curious about it, and you can go home literally tonight, sign up for Google's free program, and try it yourself. So I'm going to focus this presentation on the Google part of search engine marketing, because Google is really 80% of the marketplace right now. So if you want to do online advertising, Google really owns basically 80% of the eyeballs. Most of us browse on Google, right? Like we don't use Yahoo or some of the other browsers. So that's why if I was starting out today, I would start with Google. So the way their model works is pay per click. So what that means is you don't just put an ad in a newspaper or a magazine. You only pay if somebody clicks on your ad, which is really cool. It means you're only really paying for the visitors you specifically targeted. If they didn't see your ad, you're not paying for it. So you're not buying thousands and thousands of impressions, you're buying clicks. So let's say one of you guys has a company. Give me a sample product that you would want to sell online. Anything at all.
Shoes.
Shoes, okay. Or Louis Vuitton handbags or whatever, right? Shoes. So you ask yourself, okay, I want to sell shoes online. Who do I want to sell those shoes to? Who's my customer? Let's say you know the answer to that question, but give us like any sample customer. Young people, okay. And how much do you think, if you were to sell shoes online, at what price point would you want to sell them? Okay, $50. And what kind of, let's say you were targeting people in New York, and you only had enough money to focus on one borough. Just like if you were opening a retail store, you can't open 5 stores at the same time if you don't have the money. You can only open it in one place. So let's say, using the same kind of thinking, where would you sell your shoes? What neighborhood? Yeah, so let's say you wanted to open it right here, right downstairs of Pace, right? And would you target to women or to men? Or both? Both. Okay, so the great thing about Google advertising is you could target your advertising just like that. You could say, I only want to target to women. I only want to target in this zip code. And I only want to target to people to let's say areas that are more affluent or less affluent. And let's say, when do people shop for shoes that are shopping for shoes for the gym? When do you think?
Before going to the gym.
Yeah, before going to the gym. And let's say we could assume that people go to the gym in the mornings and in the evenings. Like, not that many people go to the gym at 3 o'clock, unless they're in college, right? So we could say we're only going to advertise at 5 p.m. or 9 a.m. We're only going to advertise to women or to men, only in New York, all that stuff. Google allows you to do that. So the next question we ask ourselves, okay, so we're going to sell shoes online. We have $50, or that's our price point. So how much can we pay to acquire one customer of shoes? Okay, $3 to $4, like 5% of the retail price. Okay, so $3 to $4. So the next question we have for ourselves is, how many clicks on Google can I buy for this $3 to $4? And what kind of customer do I want? So let's say there's two different customers out there. There's the customer who's not sure about what kind of shoes they want yet, right? So let's say if you weren't sure, if you knew that you wanted shoes maybe, but you were still doing research online and you weren't sure what you were going to buy, what would you search?
New shoes out.
New shoes out. Okay. So a customer who's looking for new shoes out, if that's the search term they used, like, are they far in the buying cycle, or did they just begin shopping? Just began shopping. But let's say you wanted to buy shoes today, and you knew exactly the shoe that you wanted. And using that really, really, really simple idea, this is what we did. So we had 30,000 products, and we decided we're only going to target the customer who's super, super ready to buy. We're not going to target the customer who's still deciding what shoe is the best or what furniture is the best. We're only going to target the customer who's already ready to buy. And all day long we spent thinking, okay, what keywords do people use when they're exactly ready to buy? So if you're Pepsi and you have $1 billion advertising budget, you could spend money on keywords like, what is the best soft drink? Or Pepsi versus Coke, or whatever, like these very general brand awareness kind of things. Or if someone just searches for the word Pepsi. But most of us are not Pepsi. Most of us only have, $20 or $1,000. So you start targeting this customer who's way far in the buying cycle. So let's say we decided we could afford $4 to acquire one customer. So we ask ourselves, okay, how many clicks can we buy? And that's where we get to this next point, which is it's not 2 + 2 = 4. So what that means is this. You pay for only when people click. So let's say we're doing a really targeted search. So let's say you're doing the exact shoes that you want. So what's a popular shoe right now? Okay, and how do you spell the second word?
R-O-S-H-E.
That sounds nice. Okay, so let's say we're shopping for these Nike shoes. Okay, so the way Google works is like this. Nike Rocher. Let's say my ad says I want to target every customer who puts a Nike Rocher in the search engine. And if I put my ad and I make it just like this, and Google AdWords, one part of it is all keyword based. So basically when you're creating an ad, you're literally saying, my ad is these 2 words. That's it. So Nike Rocher, if I put in this, let's say somebody searches for Nike Air Jordan. Will my ad come up if my ad says Nike Rocher? Who says yes? And who says no? And who's asleep? So, okay, a lot of people said that my ad will not come up. But when dealing with Google, you have to remember this one very important point. Google is your frenemy. They're not your friend. They're closer to enemy than they are your friend when it comes to advertising. Because Google's #1 goal in terms of advertising is to make you spend money. So when you make your ad in this intuitive way, Nike Rocher, that means that if a user's query matches either of these 2 words, your ad will come up. So every time somebody searches for anything that includes Nike or Rocher, your ad will come up, and you'll pay for the click. Because what happens is, who's ever clicked on some ad on Google that wasn't for a product that you were interested in? Did that ever happen to you? Did you ever do that just because you were curious? Right? All of us at some point have clicked on something, even though we weren't really interested in that product. We were like, oh, I wasn't thinking of this. Okay, let me click and see what it is. But as soon as you do that, the advertiser pays for the click. So, okay, so Nike or Shea is not going to work for us if we're on a limited budget. Let's try a different one. Let's try and let's just do buy. Okay, so what this is called is broad match on Google AdWords. This is like the basic Google advertising structure. So broad is really bad. Next is modified broad. This is kind of getting closer to being your friend. So let's say I put in, and let's say I already own these sneakers and I want to sell them to someone. I would put in sell Nike or Shea. Do you think my ad would come up if this was my ad text? If I put in sell Nike or Shea and this is my ad would come up. Because what I'm saying is, this is a mandatory word, this is a mandatory word, this is an optional word. So if the user puts in these two mandatory words, no matter what the third optional word is, my ad will come up. So again, this is not going to work for me. Now, let's try a different one. Okay, so this is called phrase match. So if somebody puts in Rocher by Nike, will my ad come up? No, because it has to be exactly like this. It has to include this phrase exactly like this in this order. And then the last one is called exact match, and it's like this. And if I put in an ad like this, and their exact match is not exactly like this, it won't come up. So the winner for Google advertising on a really, really small budget is this Nike or Shea like this. So what this means is the user can search for anything, but it has to include these two words. So you have to go as far as you can in the kind of buying funnel in the person's mind and say, okay, what words would they absolutely put when they're absolutely ready to buy? And the more words you could put into that one ad, the better. So for example, let's say I'm going to add buy, sale, now. And you may say to yourself, you know, when I'm shopping for shoes online, I would never put in like 10 words. I would just put in Nike or Shea and then go see what the search results are. But a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people actually put in really long search terms, especially if they're a little bit older. So the search volume for anything including just these two words is obviously going to be higher than the search volume if you put in all these 5. But you don't really care about that. You only care about marketing to exactly the customer that is really ready to buy right now. And that's why you would make your ads always like this with pluses as opposed to like this or like this. So another good thing is you pay per click, and it's a bidding system. You're bidding against everybody in the world that's bidding on these same keywords. So the more generic the keyword is, do you think it's more expensive or less expensive? Why?
The more generic?
Yeah, the more broad. Well, generic would not be a good word. The more broad a keyword is. More. The more generic the word is, let's say I'm just bidding on the keyword red sneakers. I would bet that a company like Nike that's really big, that wants anybody who wants to buy sneakers, is already bidding on that keyword. But if I'm bidding on a keyword like buy red sneakers, Nike Air in New York today, maybe Nike doesn't have that exact keyword. And that keyword, the competition will be much smaller because the number of stores selling that particular sneaker is way less than somebody selling a red sneaker. So I always want to make my keywords as specific as possible, at the same time knowing that I'm going to get more clicks for that. So for example, if my keywords were just these two, our $4 a day budget would be exhausted probably in one day. Even though it's you may look at this and think it's not like such a popular word. But if we were, and you would get 4 people, and probably one of them would actually be looking for this, and the other 3 would be looking for something entirely different. But if our keywords were all like long like this, you would probably get 8 clicks, and 7 of those people would actually be looking for the product that you're advertising. So you always want to be super, super targeted. Okay, so the next thing is, okay, so how do you know if your advertising is working, and what does it like actually really look like? So we're going to just log into both of these systems really, really quickly just to see what they are. And at the same time, we're going to just make some kind of commitment to ourselves in our minds that at some point we're going to log in ourselves, create an account, which is free, and just try it. Like I said, it's $50 and you get it from Google. Like, you don't have to pay anything. So I would just say I would try it on your own and see how it works after I show you. So Google AdWords. I lived on this program for 2 years. I mean, you could wake me up now, 2 o'clock in the morning, and ask me a question about Google AdWords, and I will know the answer. This is how much this one program has literally changed my life and changed everything about our business. I mean, just imagine you literally have $1,000 and you're competing with companies who have $1 million or more. You know, it's kind of like you either make it or you know, you go home and you go live with your parents. So that's kind of the road that I took. So signing in here every time is kind of like bittersweet for me because it brings back a lot of memories. All right. And I really believe in showing people real data as opposed to made up, like let's say this, let's say that. So I'm going to show you our actual Google AdWords and Analytics account. All the information is proprietary. I'm sure you guys are not going to go and give it to our competitors. But even if you are, since I'm so confident in our strategy and it changes all the time, it's okay. So that's my disclaimer there. So right now you could see, for example, in the last 30 days, we spent about $26,000 on Google AdWords. I mean, it's a huge change from spending $30 a day. But this right now, from our company perspective, is probably 50% of our monthly advertising budget. So it's a huge amount of money for us. And I'll show you kind of what it is. And another thing is, Google has all these free online training materials about it. So whenever I had a question, I had no one to ask. I was working at a bank. I couldn't go ask my manager, hey, you know, how do I use Google AdWords? So I would literally Google what I needed to know, and there was 20 people before me who had the same question, and the answer was always there. So that's really good too. So we're going to look at some actual keywords. And since our account has gotten pretty big, it takes a while to load, but okay. So this is 30-day data, right? You could change the dates here. And again, this program is completely free. You don't have to pay anything to use it. You just put a little code on your website and it tracks everything. Okay, so in the last 30 days, and it's exactly the strategy you said. It's not brain surgery. It's really, really simple. There was one person who was who clicked on my ad. So, and they were looking for this exact bed. So this is a brand and this is a collection, just like Nike, Rochere's, exactly that same format. So they clicked the keywords were these 3 keywords, and they clicked and they bought. They spent $1,100, and how much did I spend? 50 cents. Okay, so this is like this exact strategy is right here. So it's pretty cool. It actually works, and really, really simple. Anyway, let's look at a different one. Not all of our ads are this successful, by the way. I mean, if I could spend 50 cents and get $1,100 of customers, you know, every time I would be at a different place. I would probably be in the Hamptons somewhere, like, you know, having a drink right now. But it works pretty well. But anyway, building these keywords and seeing the reporting, it's all a matter of practice too. I mean, when we started, we had one keyword. Literally, we called Google up and we said, okay, I read that you have a free service. You will create campaigns for us. They said, yes, we will help you maximize Google's potential. And I said, okay. And this guy's name was Carl, and he said, you know, Sarah, just trust me, I would never waste your money. The best keyword for your company is free furniture. And I was like, why is free furniture the best keyword for my company? We're not giving furniture away for free. We're not a charity, unfortunately. You know, that's not our business. He said, no, you know, we have a study that shows, like, when you include the word free in your ads, like, more people click, and that's good. So I said, okay, Carl, that's cool. I put in this keyword. My keyword was, and it wasn't plus free furniture. It was just free furniture. So, you know, what happens when you advertise free furniture is, you know, if someone searches for free anything, your ad comes up. It's really cool. So what Google also has is a report that shows what people actually searched that triggered your ad. And it was like free refrigerator, free guarantee, and like some other stuff. Plus, this keyword is super expensive because it's really general. And so our first day, we had made this budget $30. We got 5 clicks. So we were paying $6 a click, which is really, really expensive. And we got 6 people or 5 people who searched for refrigerators and all kinds of stuff. And you know, we don't do that anymore. And I would suggest never, ever to do that yourselves. But Google actually has people on their staff who specialize in doing this to people. I really couldn't imagine why they do this. But anyway, we called Google up and we said, look, we spent $30 on keywords that were irrelevant, give us a refund. They said, absolutely not. How could you? You know, we don't do that. We're going to give you a different account manager. And the new account manager said, okay, you should do free furniture and quotes. And so I'm summarizing the process, but over a few months, like, I think we spent the $500 out of the $1,000 that I had was spent on that kind of trial and error. So you guys are lucky. You don't have to go through that trial and error. I'm just telling you. Do it like this. It's going to work. Okay, so this is really simple Google AdWords. This program is very robust. We could spend 40 hours talking just about this. We're going to quickly move on to the next program. So the next one is called Google Analytics. Also free, also really awesome. And actually, Carl from Google is my friend on LinkedIn, and he sends me these messages. Congratulations on all your successes. I'm so happy we kept in touch. And we always have a good laugh when we hear from him, and we wish him well. Okay, so our company sells furniture online, like I said, or maybe I didn't even say it, but we sell it through a couple of different websites. So for us, it's a little bit more complicated because we look at a lot of different reports, because this is just bedroom furniture discounts, only one of our stores, the one that sells only bedrooms. Then we have living rooms, dining rooms, all these other sites. But we're just going to do one website here. So the 4 most important things about a website that Google Analytics tracks. What do you think is important?
Number of visitors.
Number of visitors. The number of unique visitors, exactly. That's the most important factor. That's like how many people are coming by your store. That at the end, how much foot traffic is on your street. That's exactly that. So number of visitors is number 1. So you always want to, once you install this little program on your website, you want to say, okay, what is the number of visitors? Okay, what do you think is the next one? Say it. Length. Length is important, and what's related to length is something called bounce rate. What do you think bounce rate is?
How quickly they X out?
Yeah, exactly. Or how many people X out after only viewing one page. So, like a lot of stores, let's say you're in Times Square, you're walking around, you're a tourist, you're going to a lot of stores probably, but you're not buying a lot. This is the same thing. This is how many people are just casually on your website, or they're not sure what they want or whatever. So number of visitors, bounce rate. Length of visit is definitely really important. Do you think longer visits are better or shorter?
Longer.
Longer, exactly. But not too long. You know, my website is there to sell furniture. I mean, I don't want someone there for 24 hours because, you know, what are they doing? I want them to buy. So you want to ask yourself, how long does it take someone to make a purchasing decision for whatever it is that I'm selling? You know, just like Starbucks, they used to be very welcoming to having people come and sit there for forever, but now they're kind of limiting that a little bit. This is the same kind of thing. So I know for someone to make a purchasing decision for furniture, 4 minutes. I want somebody to be on my website for 4 minutes. If they're there for around 4 minutes, that means they may buy. If they're there for longer than 4 minutes, that means something's wrong with me. I'm not giving them enough information to make a decision. So you ask yourself, if you're buying for shoes, if you're shopping for shoes, I would say it's shorter than 4 minutes, because if shoes don't really have as many features as a whole bedroom set of stuff. So I would say, I don't know, 2 minutes. But anyway, number of visitors, bounce rate. What else do you think is important?
Conversion rate?
Conversion rate, exactly. So we track that too somewhere. let's see, conversions. Okay, so conversion rate, super important. And what is conversion rate?
If they're going to buy or not, like you can 50 cents for your ad, you've got 11 metrics for that. You converted a customer.
Exactly, yeah, if they buy, they're considered a conversion, and if they don't, they're not a conversion. So our e-commerce conversion rate is this. So what that means is out of every 100 customers, 0.09% buy. And that's because our average order on our website is $2,000. So very few people buy compared to how many visit. Plus we have this whole component of our business that's phone orders. But anyway, you ask yourself, okay, what's going to be the conversion rate given my average value? So for example, Amazon has an average value of about, let's say $20. What do you think their e-commerce conversion rate is about?
60%.
About 10. About 10. And they're like way out of, their conversion rate is way higher than everybody else's. I would say if your average order is about $25, $50, you're looking at a conversion rate of 1 to 2%. And that you would be a hero if you could do that. So visitors, conversion rate, bounce rate, and of course, you know, your overall revenue. So again, this will only track pure e-commerce conversions, meaning if somebody buys on the phone from your website, which happens very often with large purchases, this thing is not going to track them because they only track once you click the submit button on the shopping cart. But still, you could get a good approximation. I know that for every, let's say for every 169,000, there's 500,000 of phone conversions. We know that that's the metric that works for us. And once you have an online store or you work for an online store, you know what those metrics are. So anyway, those are the important things about Google Analytics and Google AdWords. Again, Google Analytics also has tons of features. You could spend years learning it. The next thing is just some small tips just when starting out. A lot of times, people may recommend to you, you need to work with an agency or you need to hire an expert and pay them lots of money. I think that you cannot really outsource something completely if you don't understand it yourself. So your first task is really to try to learn this yourself up to some point where you're comfortable giving it away, because otherwise they can show you a report that says anything and you won't know whether they're telling you the truth or what the numbers mean. They may tell you a conversion rate of 0.02% is good for a $50 product. You're going to say, okay, that sounds good. And you know, it's your money. You never want to make that mistake. So I would say first is educate yourself. Remember that Google is not your friend, and whatever their suggested practices are for advertising, it's not going to work for you. And creative pay arrangements. A lot of people, it's a tough world out there. A lot of people are willing to work based on performance. So what that means is if they deliver conversions, you pay them. And if they don't deliver conversions, you don't pay them. A lot of agencies and independent contractors are willing to work that way. And in the beginning, everyone said no to us. We tried it ourselves. I said, okay, our campaigns are getting too large. I'm spending 40 hours a week doing Google AdWords, and I need to do 40 hours a week doing other things too. Can I outsource everything to you? And they said, okay, our minimum rate is $5,000. And I was like, okay. I don't have the money. Do you want to work for performance? And everyone said no. And I said, okay, no problem. Have a great day. And then slowly weeks passed by, and one after the other, everybody started emailing saying, okay, we'll consider this. So it doesn't hurt to ask. Pay for performance is awesome. The other trend now is everyone gives you a free 30-day trial. People have really good programs, all this different software that will help automate the Google AdWords process. I would say sign up for all their trials, try all their products. You learn a lot, and you won't have to spend a dime. So that's also what we did. And we still do that. We're like the kings of the 30-day trial. Right now I have 10 different trials going on that different products I'm trying to learn. And then I'm going to try 10 different companies. And maybe I'll hire one of them, maybe I'll hire none of them. But I'm going to learn a lot. So pay for performance, free trial. I would say just install the software, even if you have no website, even if you have no interest in entrepreneurship at all, just to know something different. And then see what happens. You don't even need a credit card to begin. That's my presentation, and I'll answer any questions.